think it's valuable because I think growing up as a child in 80s Christianity, so many people defined wilderness in so many ways back then. So when someone said, I'm going to a wilderness, or I'm reading Job, you're like, stay away from me, you have the plague. Just I don't want to be around you. Versus seeing it as a time when I think we all go through it in the sense of the more, different seasons of maturing that God takes us through, where he's going to take us into something that we need something formed in our relationship with him that can't be formed any other way, or it can't be formed as quickly. Or without, I think it's actually a protection from a lot of pain and a protection from a lot of external stuff. Sometimes when we're in it, we think we're going through so much pain. We're like, why am I going through this? And God's like, no, if you had stayed out of this, then you would have been going through more. But I was in Kansas City on staff and part of the Kansas City House of Prayer and part of church there. It was at the time, I was a part of the local church. It was about 5,000 to 7,000 members. And a lot of prophetic people had come from that church. And I had been traveling, and there was kind of a movement of people who were putting pressure on the senior leaders to kind of head up a movement that has been falling apart. This is around 1997 to 99. And there was just a lot of activity that was going on, a lot of church politics, a lot of human agenda. And the leaders were amazing. Like when I say this, I don't want to make it sound like I don't want to paint a bad picture on them. But I was learning a lot because human dynamics were in full effect, in the midst of what was going on. And people were vying for their agenda of what they thought this church should form into. And they hadn't seen in their minds or in their imagination what a house of prayer could be. And that's what Mike Bickle was dreaming of, who was leading that. And during that time, it was 1999. And I was on a trip. I traveled with Mike quite extensively. And I was on a trip with him. It was an apostolic conference in Dallas, Texas, of all places, which I love Dallas. There's thousands of people there. I mean, just so many people there. And I was supposed to do, I think, a ministry time after Mike spoke. But he started speaking. It was one of those times that the holiness of God just hit the room, where people just felt, it started in the worship. And then Mike got up, and several major leaders that were very well known went up front and prostrated themselves at the altar and started weeping.
Thank you for listening to the Wilderness Season podcast. If you need help navigating through your own wilderness season, pick up a copy of my book, A Journey Out of the Wilderness, available on Amazon. Also, continue the conversation online with us by going to our Wilderness Season Facebook page. For resources and events, you can go to www.sherrylynnward.com. If you have enjoyed this show, please subscribe and review our podcast. Just remember, you're not alone.